Hi, this is Tilak. Welcome back to our fast formula tutorial. Today, we are going to look at the total compensation statement, TCS fast formulas. The TCS supports three fast formulas. One is a participation and rate eligibility, that is from benefit, which is part of the eligibility engine. And the compensation person selection, that is CWP1. And the total compensation item, that is belongs to TCS. Today we have seen all the context, which is a common context. I'm not going to go through again. If you want to know that context of the compensation TCS, please look at my previous video where I have explained everything in detail. So I'm just showing all this context which is supported for the TCS. Okay. Now we are going to look at that. Today what we are going to see here is participation rate eligibility fast formula. The participation rate eligibility, which is coming from a benefit, that support all this context. Okay, I said support, but TCS cannot pass all this formula context, PGM ID, parental ID, and TCS is passing a very minimum context. If you are looking at that, what is passing is person ID, effective date, and the business group ID. That's all it is passing, even it is not passing assignment ID or anything. The reason it is not passing much is the TCS is calling the eligibility engine. Okay, the eligibility is which is passing the context. So the TCS passing to the benefit eligibility engine whatever it needs. So that is person ID, effective date, and that business group ID. That's all pass it. The business group ID also basically passing from the engine because compensation product does not pass business group ID to fast formula. Okay. Now, when you are coming to input value, as of now, the TCS is not passing any input values. I'll explain you why it is not passing it. But as for my understanding, they are planning to support the start date, end date, statement ID, period ID, and the statement name in the future. That's my understanding. But you need to check with a document or that support. But why that? Basically, the TCS is not much not encouraging you to use the fast formula from the eligibility side. The reason is the participation, the person selection rule and that eligibility fast formula, they are doing the same thing. And the person selection has got a much more support, whether input or context wise, it has got a more support. So they recommend you to use the person selection formula rather than eligibility formula. Anyway, since it is there, it is supported. So what we are going to see today is how you can write a very simple eligibility fast formula. I'll just give a very simple example for your understanding. But if you really need to write some fast formula, use person selection rather than the eligibility one. Okay, what are we going to look at today? Today we are going to make a person eligible if a person has working for our organization more than 5 years. That is a very simple logic we are working. Now, if you want to find the hire date or original hire date, we need assignment. Now, what happened if we don't pass assignment ID from the context? I mean, TCS doesn't pass assignment ID to the context. you can define an eligibility engine to pass certain assignment ID. Okay, in our case, we are going to use a primary assignment ID in the eligibility engine, the eligibility setup that is going to pass the assignment ID. Now let's see how we write a formula, how do we set up, where do we use it, and how it is executed. We'll get into that application. We are in that common session module. Now what we do, we go and get that, we get into the fast formula. We'll write the fast formula, then we'll attach the fast formula into the eligibility. Then we attach the eligibility into a TCS setup, then we will execute the TCS statement. Now we can see it from the log, like, how the eligibility is going to work. It's a very simple process. Let me get into that fast formula, because there is a way you can navigate from fast formula from TCS, compensation. So at the end, there's something like common configuration where you have the fast formula link. Okay, I'm going to create a fast formula that I'm just giving TCS Eligibility fast formula. Okay, that's the name is fine. The type is participation. It has to start with participation eligibility, rate eligibility. We are not going to do with the legislative data group. If you want to have understanding of a legislative data group, I have in my introduction tutorial, it is there. 1.1. As usual, we are giving a 2000. Okay, now we are here. Okay, now I'm going to write the fast formula. Very simple fast formula. I'm going to write that. Okay, in that name is formula. Type is eligibility. That is type. What is it? Okay, what is called right now? Make a person with 5 or more years of experience. As eligible. Okay. I'm going to use two database items. One is hire date. So I'm using a original hire date. The other one I'm going to take here is system date. Okay, I can use the effective date. Yeah, I can use the effective date. I can use the system date. Okay, in this case, I'm using a system date just to show that, how the system date is taken. But you can use the effective date. Okay, the context, you can use the context effective date. There's no problem with that. Okay, default value for, let me copy the DVA, copy the whole thing. Default value for default, I think is a default. No, it's a default for this is a sorry. Okay, default. That's a single value. This is not a default for this one, and default for this DBA, the global pay interface extraction date, will give you a extraction date will give you a date in YYYYDD MMDD format. YYYY MMDD format is a string. So just I'm giving a 2 character as a default value. Now I'm just telling that ESS log write. So basically I'm putting a log to say I'm entering into the formula, entering. Since I'm entering, I'm also going to leave. So I'm telling that leaving to Before we are getting to the logic, the return value has to be in a particular variable name. Though you are returning only one value y or n, but this formula I expect the return value has to be in a name called eligible, and that should be capital. Okay, this is the value. If you are using any other variable name, the result may not be what you want to have it. So make sure your return value is eligible. Okay, so return eligible. So by default, I'm just giving a default value no. So I'll make it y if it meets the condition. For that, what we are going to do. Okay, now I'm going to take that person ID. So I'll get the person ID and assignment ID in the context. I also copy it, paste it, so it is easier. So here, the person ID and the assignment ID I'm taking from the context. So then I'm printing it. I'm putting in the log. So you know what the person ID is coming, what the assignment ID is coming. Though I said that TCS does not send the assignment ID as a context. The assignment ID is taken from the eligibility setup. I'll show you when I'm showing the eligibility setup. Now I'm going to convert, I'm going to convert the day, I'm going to convert this into a date. Okay, definitely you're going to have it. So I'm not validating that. If you want to have a validation, of course you can do a validation. Just I'll show it. So today I am showing here. Today is 19. Just I'm giving a one value 0 0. Okay, 0 1 0 1. Okay. Now if was not defaulted, then okay, that's the easier way. Today is today's I say today. Okay, I'll make this character today C, just a character value. So C to date, I'm converting that today C y TD format. So the today character will be converted into a date. Okay. Now what else I have to convert? Then I'm also taking the date of joining. Okay, DOJ, I'm date of joining it. I'm taking it from the DBA as it is. Okay, you can use the DBA as it is. So it is my habit, but it's up to you. Okay. Now I have two variables. One is date of joining and today. Now I'm going to make sure I'm printing it. So now it is printed. Okay. Now I got that today. I got the date of joining. Now I have to take the difference between that today and the date of joining. Okay. So you can put a logic, like you can put a description, difference between. You can put whatever, make sure you put something into that. So when you are writing a formula, somebody else may going to read it another day. So make sure you are put enough description. Now I'm going to take the difference between that at today and the date of joining. Okay, so date diff. What is the date diff is? Okay, make it date diff. Date diff. Make it date diff. Date diff is what is it? There's a function called I think you can minus the today minus DOJ, but there's something called date between days between. There's a function. You can use that function today and date of joining. And if days diff is greater than 5 years, okay, I'm just saying 365 into 5. Okay, this is easier for understanding, but you can multiply, you can keep it. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Now, what I'm doing here is eligibility is why eligible. Eligible is why. Okay. Now eligible is why. That's good. So eligible is written here. Now I save the first formula. I submit the first formula. I compile the first formula. Okay. Now we are going back to eligibility to define eligibility. Just I am making sure it is compiled. Yes, it is compiled. Now we'll going back to compensation to go back to eligibility. We also have a link here for eligibility. So eligibility profile. I'm creating it. I'm giving a TCS eligibility. Okay, give it. This one's supposed to be compensation because it is part of compensation. Okay, here you can say what kind of assignment you want it. Since we are going to give a primary assignment, it is enterprise level because nothing to do with a legal employer. Okay, because since it is for a person, we work with TCS, everything every time works with a person. We are giving enterprise level primary assignment. That's what we are giving it. If you want to give it a different one, you can give it. That's no problem. But this is the recommended one. And I'm going here. You can give a like kind of a personal employment. I'm not going to get into the detail of eligibility. That's not the purpose of tutorial. So I'm going to the other. In the formula, I can create one. I'm giving a one number one. I choose that TCS eligible formula. No, nothing like important here. So I'm giving save. Save and close. We are coming back to now first formula. Now what we are going to do here is we are going to the setup and attach that eligibility into the TCS. Okay, we are choosing some. I'm not like talking about here how to set up a TCS like items or a category or a statement. Yes, that's not the purpose of this tutorial. I'll do some like another time. I'll do a tutorial how to do all the setup. And now we are using what we have here. Okay, that's it. I'm using it one. So, okay. When you are getting the setup, there are a few options here. I'm choosing the option statement options. That one. There, you have option to attach the eligibility profile. You can also basically create or edit eligibility profile from here. Because since we have one, it probably show all the possible eligibility profile which is in that setup. Now I'm choosing the TCS eligible. I'm saving it. It is saved. And after that, I'm doing a finish and generate statement. I can get into that generation from here, ESS generation from here. Okay, it automatically brought that. If there's only one period, it default the period. I can put that if I want here. Okay, I'm just submitting it. I'm processing everybody. Okay. I believe most of the guys are started here 2000. Thereby is created in this environment by a script, so most of the employees are started in the same date. So now what happened? It is automatically take once I submitted, take me into that monitor process, which is belongs to TCS. The one limitation of this area is what happened. We cannot see the log. So now if you want to look at the log, you have to go to the monitor process, which is belongs to the ESS, which is provided by CWP. Okay, now here it is there. It is processing it. No, look at the log. Okay, basically I get into the beginning of the log. Basically, it's entering into the formula. It is printing the person ID. It is printing the assignment ID, today date. Like it is giving a today date, and it is also giving the hire date. The hire date is, as I said, most of the people has got the same hire date because most of these guys are created by a script. Okay, now it is since the hire date is basically I should have printed that number of days, that difference. It is all eligibility is Y. That is what it is printed. Okay, so it is the person is eligible, the person's not no data found per person. Okay, because it is not able to the statement not able to find the data. So the person is eligible. So it is going and trying to find the data because it is eligible. It is going further. It didn't come out. It is trying to find the person. The person doesn't have a data, so it is coming out. So the eligibility is working as we expected. Let's see if the process completed. Let's see if at least process one person. Go back to TCS monitor page. Okay, now let me go here. Press there. Go to report. So 5 people processed. Okay, let me pick up a guy and go to that. See that from a different way. At that person. Uh, generated statement. Name. Boy. Manager Roy. See, the person is statement generator. Probably that may not be a XML data. Let me. Okay, I'm not going to get into the detail. This is that what we created. Okay, this is the organization. This is basically the person has got whatever that information is there. Just generated fine. So this is how you create the eligibility formula and attach to that eligibility and attach to the statement and generate the statement. That's it for the day. Uh, if you have any question, comments, anything, let me know in the comment section. If you like my work, like the video, and we'll see you next time with some other formula. Thank you.